Welcome. This is Happy Childless Mindset Podcast. Welcome to another episode. I'm here with Stephanie Phillips, founder of World Childless Week. And I must say, it was the first event that I attended that joined and I felt the community. I found World Childless Week at my Googling at 3 a.m., asking myself what is happening to me, what I'm feeling. I'm a bad person, and World Childless Week popped up, and it blew my mind. And I need to thank you because you made one of the spaces that is for me, you know?
Yeah. You're welcome. It's like I always say, it's like, yes, I was the spark, but everybody who sends in a submission or goes in a webinar or does whatever, they're the flames that keep it going, because I couldn't do it without all the submissions. That is what makes World Childless Week. So it's great that people are starting to find it, and then from there branch out to all the individual things that we're interested in. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you found us. What I say, never want anybody to find us because they never need us. That's the dream. But if you do need us, I'm glad you find us.
Yeah. Sometimes I happen to read a post in one of the groups and I have to tell the person welcome. It's bittersweet that you're here, but at least since you have to live this life as a childless person, you have us. And I felt like that in finding the World Childless Week because I felt like, okay, I'm really sad for this, but at the same time, I'm not alone. And that was a huge shift.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, never apologize for laughing. Laughing is always good.
Yeah, but my tongue got cut off, and yeah,
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But no, it's like you say, because all we can see is what we wanted and didn't get, which is families and children and
yeah,
pregnant bellies and adverts about it and television about it. So it's like anything, not just child, but when you think, you get something, you're diagnosed with something or something happens to you, you think
yeah,
you're the only one. It's the automatic thing, is you're the only one. So getting the validation that you're not, and you're normal, and you're just grieving, which is
yeah,
completely normal. It just really does make you go,
yeah, absolutely. Understanding that I was grieving and that I wasn't a bad person for get jealous or angry or sad when I saw a baby or a pregnant woman was such a relief because I felt like I was the worst person in the whole world, you know? I felt
Mhm.
so alone. So founding the community that at that time it wasn't a community for me. I didn't feel part of it. I was like, oh, I'm not alone. And then I start meeting people and now I have a few friends that are really, really good friends that I never met in person, but I know they are there. And I now feel in the community. I don't feel alone.
Yeah, which is good. And I think that's the thing with, I've got so many friends I've never met,
Yeah,
because there are so many of us, but we're not all in the same place. We don't know about these places, or we're too
yeah,
scared to speak out, even if we're in them. So actually, to meet face to face is really hard. But meeting somebody who's around the world, anywhere, online, is just so easy now that we can make those connections. Because just because we're childless doesn't mean to say we've got interests in the same things, or the
exactly.
same age, or do you know what I mean, or the same beliefs or anything. So having the opportunity to speak to each other online opens up the avenue, and we do connect. So yeah, I've got friends who I've never met and probably never will, but
Yeah,
even if we don't stay in touch, if we drift apart, they'll always have a special place in my heart, because they are the ones who got me through the really dark, deep, nitty gritty grief at the beginning. Do you know
yeah,
what I mean? So
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
they're precious friendships. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like what you said about the interest because it's not like every childless person has to be your friend. I into crocheting and maybe you don't, and we don't have anything else in common than childlessness, and maybe we don't get a friendship. So it's important to remember that community and friendship is not always in person. That, yeah, you and I won't be able to have a proper dinner, maybe, but maybe we can have dinner on Zoom. I do that with other friends, you know?
Yeah, no, it is true. Do you know what I mean? And when you do get the opportunity to meet somebody, if you ever do, it's oh my gosh, it's like awe-inspiring. It's gobsmacking. It's shocking. It's amazing. It is truly amazing because you're all of a sudden this person is there and you can
Yeah,
physically hug them and laugh with them, smile with them, and you don't need headphones, you don't need the internet, you don't need anything. You're just there.
yeah,
It is such a special moment, but it doesn't devalue the online connections at all. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
yeah, friends come and go, relationships go and come and go, and it's just embracing what you've got when it's good and stick with it and love it and use it from bounce off each other, and that support is there and that friendship, and it's a special thing. Yeah.
I I really love what you said about taking the good, because I started this podcast and my group and everything because I went through the grief that is super necessary, and I found a lot of groups that the grief is the main topic. But when I started to make peace with, okay, this is happening to me, I needed more spaces where we talk about the joy that can come, but most spaces were child free, and sometimes I couldn't identify with what they were saying, you know? And I kind of retreated to, I don't belong. Again, I don't belong because I found happiness and I feel my life is fulfilled, but I don't belong in the childless community. And how do you see that? What do you, how is your life? Are you happy? Do you see happy people even after childlessness?
It's a really good point, because no, it's really good because we go through the grief and it's like I said, it's really dark.
Yeah,
Then we all hope, and most of us will get to that place where actually it's not all empowering and all enveloping. And like at the beginning, when you talk about childlessness, it's there. You
yeah,
can't see past it. And then
well,
slowly, and there's times it'll come back and shut you, and close you down again. But now it's like childlessness is part of me, but it certainly isn't all of me. And
yeah,
it's like, yes, I'm still heavily involved with the community because of what I do. And there's times that I can look, like say, in a support group and read a post and think, I want to give the right words, but they're not with me today. I don't have the right way of expressing
yeah,
what that person needs to hear. So I can't answer it. And then there's other days I think I can answer this.
yeah,
But a lot of the time, yeah, you've got to find out the happiness. And there are groups, there's a few of them now that are sort of about embracing the happiness, finding the perks and things like that, which is good.
yeah,
And I always say to people, don't leave the groups for support though. Have a balance that it can be there, that if you need to bounce back for a day, for a minute, for an hour, you can do it, but enjoy the groups where you're doing the celebrations and the perks and things like that. As to the child free groups, I agree. There's a few that are sort of a couple out there that are child free mix. And when they get along, I think they can get along brilliant and we can both learn from each other.
yeah,
I think the problem sometimes lies, like you said, it's like finding the empathy and the understanding is sometimes not there. And I'm not putting everybody in one boat because we don't necessarily understand everything about being child
yeah,
free. We can never understand somebody else's life entirely, but we can learn sometimes and see there are opportunities and ways of thought that we haven't had before. So we can look at a situation differently.
yeah,
I think that's really good. We can get there. But I think, yeah, join the different groups. So you've got the happy ones and the sad ones, and look at the child free groups. But sometimes they can be too much, too harsh. So go back to maybe the mixed groups and go back to the childish groups that are about being positive and get your balance. Do you know what I mean? Because, like you said, all the
yeah,
Facebook groups are free. Mix and match and find
yeah.
which ones suit you and which day. Yeah,
I
definitely.
absolutely agree. I'm still part of the groups that are the childless group that are more focused on grief, because I do have my bad days, my sad
Mm.
days. And it happens to me that sometimes I read these posts that are really, really sad, and I want to help, but I don't want to invalidate, or so I don't post any comment. I just send the hugging because I know what they're feeling, but I can't in that day reply with in a way good way. I would like you can be happy, and it's not what that person needed because it wasn't what I needed in that moment.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, I think you've got to put yourself in their position. And when you're in that position, what you wanted to hear. And it might have
Yeah.
been you were angry and you wanted other people to be angry with you
Yeah.
because being told it will get better might have been like, I don't care. At the moment in time, I don't care. I want to rant about
Yeah.
something that's really upset me. And the more times I shout out, the more discussions I can have, the lesser it's hold on me and the weaker it gets, the power diminishes.
Yeah.
So seeing something, and if you can't add to it, like you say, scroll by, I'll just do the hug or the
Yeah.
care emoji because just those little emojis, the amount of cares and things you get, you just think they're not saying anything, but they see me, and even those little things make a
Exactly.
difference when you're that pain, in that much pain. So
Yeah,
yeah,
because it's not about the followers or the interaction. I have a business profile now, but it's not about that. For me, it's about making that person feel seen
mm,
because I get what they're going through, and I'm not in that day. I'm not in a position to add value more than I see you.
yeah,
So instead of commenting, I see you, it's like, yeah, I hug you from the distance.
yeah,
You're not alone.
yeah. It's just like you say, it's just being seen. It
Yeah.
goes back to that, doesn't it? I didn't think there was anyone else out there like me, and then I found out there's a whole community. So
Yes.
it is just being seen, even within those circles. Do you know what I mean? You might not get many comments, but
Yeah.
you could get more cares, and they can really make a difference. Do you know what I mean? It's just the little plasters that you're sticking on your heart, and they're just helping to heal you all the time as they build up. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah,
I felt
wrapped in
like
love.
when I started this journey, when I got emoji of care or the heart, I felt like when the teachers put stickers on the desk, like
Mhm.
I felt like that, like I was like being decorated and seen and uplifted, even though I was feeling so down, so low that, but those were mini huggings, mini pets, you know.
Mm. Yeah, no, and it's like just thinking, it's like switching back to what we were saying earlier, it's about joining the groups to find the happy support, the positive
Yeah.
support. There's also a fine balance between thinking, am I allowed to be happy again? Am I not therefore grieving the children I didn't have or I lost?
Yeah.
And you get guilt then for feeling, and it's like, and it's like, oh, should I be laughing? Do you know what I mean? So there's so many emotions, and it's not
Yes.
just a straightforward happy one day after being miserable the day before. Do you know what I mean? It's a sliding scale that goes back and forward.
I hope you're enjoying this episode. If you are, please support me so I can keep making this podcast. One way of doing it is liking or commenting or both. Okay, back to the episode. Yeah,
Yeah. So
in
it's
the
no matter what you
midst,
say, you want somebody to go, I understand, I see you, I hug you, I validate you, but in their own words,
absolutely.
obviously, but that's what it does. Yeah.
And
So
we are usually think that if we are in the deepest part of the grief, we are not allowed to laugh, for example. I felt
yeah.
guilty if I laughed.
Mm.
And and for me, grief is never over and it's never linear. Is I'm sad now and I'm happy the next half hour and then I'm angry, and so I want to like normalize that we go through a lot of complex emotions more than once in the same day and more than one in the same time. And it's okay to laugh when you're grieving, and it's okay to grieve when you are already through it, you know?
Yeah. No, but it's like some days you can just feel low and you've got no idea why you feel low. And you can cry and you've got no idea why you're
Yeah.
crying. And it'll be nothing to do with being childless, nothing to do with anything you could put your finger on. But
Yeah.
if those emotions are there, you can't block them away or hide them because they'll just build up and explode. So you've got to let them out. And like I said, it's not necessarily having a reason or an explanation. Do you know what I mean? And I think
Yeah.
that's a weird one that we still get about everything. Do you know what I mean? Throughout our life, do you know what I mean? Especially with hormones playing out, and God knows
I
what.
was thinking about hormones and perimenopausal
Yeah.
all
But
over
yeah,
the
hormones.
place.
Who would want them? No one, do you know what I mean? They can really mess your day up, sort of thing. But if we can't explain what they're doing, they don't always relate to what's external and going on around us.
Yeah.
And it's just recognizing that. But at the same time, sometimes you can see what it is or think, it was that little item I just heard. It was that program last night
Yeah.
playing on my mind. But I think sometimes as well, when you get through it, for me, I found that I can analyze myself and why I'm feeling emotional,
Yeah.
and I can understand it, and then okay, that's fair enough, and cry. Or like sometimes it's even just well, that was weird. That hurt. Why did that hurt? Oh yeah, okay, oh yeah, fair enough, and you can move on.
Yeah.
But again, you don't know until you're in that second what it's going to do to you and how you're going to react to it. So yeah, you just have to play it day by day,
But that
literally.
recognition also can come from the process of self-empowerment most childless people do. We get to reflect upon our lives and how do we want them to be now that children are out of the equation. Or
Mm.
at least every time I interview someone, they get to a point where, okay, I'm childless, what now? And I got there too, okay, I accept that it hurts like hell, but I have something to live for.
I think the biggest mistake we make is the first one. We think that when we have a child, everything will change. And we know that it's not easy. We know these aren't done, but it's always like, oh, I'm a mum. But then that
Yeah,
doesn't happen. So then we think there's going to be another line that we go across. And it's suddenly going to be, okay, that's it now. I accept I'm childless. I accept my life is what it is, not what I wanted. What can I do? And we seem to suddenly think we need to do this big achievement and that. And it's like, why do we need to do that? Why can we not just concentrate on each day finding something that makes us smile, or just jotting down every time something that makes us smile, the smallest things? And it could be seeing the sunrise, listening to birds in the garden,
yeah,
getting, I said this to some people a while ago, I said getting into a bed with clean sheets. There's nothing lovelier than getting into a clean bed and just think, oh, I love it. Do you know what I mean? Or it could be you having you love a particular coffee and you treat yourself to that every morning.
yeah,
And when you can start enjoying these little moments, they can actually build up into something else, but you don't have to do this huge, massive change of events in your life. You can just look back on what you used to enjoy, perhaps, and bring
yeah,
things back into your life and stuff. And yeah, I think that's the biggest worry we have is like, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do to actually mark my moment here? And it's like, just give the next door neighbor a compliment or a stranger a compliment. You might have changed their entire life from that one
yeah,
sentence. You don't know what you do, but don't think it has to be big, and don't try and grab something massive to be happy about. Do you know what I mean? It's all tiny
yeah.
steps.
I've been saying this, what you're saying, in a bunch of episodes because I started with the small things. I started with a gratitude journal with 3 things. And
Yeah.
it doesn't seem much, but they snowballed. And I'm now doing this podcast and connecting with lovely people that I keep in touch with. And that feeds me back to more gratitude, but I live intentionally, waking up every morning and asking myself, what do I want to feel today? Okay, I want to feel happy and peace. It doesn't mean, okay, I decreed it and it's happiness, but I do the things that feed my gratitude and my well-being. And I think there's no one recipe because I've saw a lot of coaches saying you have to do this, and this. And my recipe maybe doesn't work for you and vice versa. So find what sparks your joy.
Yeah. No, it's the same as saying find the support groups that support you and go in loads and different ones for different days and different moods.
Yeah,
And it's exactly the same with finding your happiness.
yeah,
Look
absolutely.
for it in lots of different places and don't assume it's going to come from one spot or an old thing that you used to love. Look at new things, explore them, try loads of different, like you say, hobbies or pastimes. If
Yeah,
you decide 99% of them are rubbish and you can't stand them, that's fine. Just chuck them out the window again. You ain't lost anything. You're just trying different things to see what makes you happy. And it's the ones that you can pick out that do give you that spark, that joy. That's the ones you focus on. And yeah,
I think a lot of adults have fears because, like, if I try this and I don't like it, it would be a failure. And I don't think that's right. I've tried so many things, and yeah, this is not for me. And I am finding my joy a lot of by process of eliminating the things I don't like.
yeah,
But now I can laugh at I tried to do that thing and it didn't work. And I tried to do candles and I did a mess in my kitchen. Everything was wax and my dogs were like, "Can I eat that?" No,
no.
And I really enjoyed candles, but making candles not for me, okay? And I have a great experience, but it's an eliminating process. I don't feel like I'm a failure because I can't do candles.
Yeah,
But I know a lot of grown-up peoples that think, no, I can't try doing candles because if I don't, I'm going to be a failure. And for me, it's like, no,
just
that's
try.
BS.
Yeah, it's just take a risk. It's like your haircut. You might go, oh, I'm going to try this haircut. And then you do it and you go, oh my God, I hate it.
Yeah.
Are you stuck with it for life? No, your hair will grow. You can change it. Don't, you know what I mean? It's like for the
Yeah.
time being, while it takes to grow, you might not be in a happy place. When you look in the mirror, you might go, no, no, no. But it will grow and you can change it again. And
Yeah.
that's the same with all these other things in life that we come across.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I dye my hair colors and I've done some ugly colors. And it's like, okay, I have to dye something on top of that. But at the same time, like I said, it's something I can bring up in conversations and laugh about it. And it makes me happy to keep trying.
Yeah,
And I'm not hurting anyone else.
no, that's it. As long as you're not hurting anybody else,
Yes.
what you decide to try and do is what you try and decide to do. And it's weird. It's like I can be really bad at procrastination. Do you know what I mean? I can sit back and go, oh, and then all of a sudden the day's gone. It's like, really, what have I done? And the same thing is, I come up with lots of ideas, and I think, well, that'd be good. This would be good. That'd be good.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily follow it through and get them done. And it's like with World Childless Week, I came up with the idea, and I mentioned to a few people. They went, "Oh, that's a good idea," and I was like, "Okay, then." And then I sort of sat back, just didn't think much more of it. But then I mentioned it to a few others, and they said, "Yeah." And then after a while, they kept coming back to me and go, "So what are you doing, and when you're doing it?" And it was like, "Oh heck, I've put myself up forefront now. I've got to do something." Do you know what I mean? And that literally just happened. It
Yeah.
wasn't a big plan or anything like that. And again, it's like, yeah, it's way bigger than I ever expected it to be. And that has made a change for me. But you don't have to make big changes. You can just literally it can just be something that comes up as an idea and you follow it and try it, and it might work. And it might, like you say, give you a smile a day. It might not. And if it doesn't, chuck it away. But
Yeah.
it's determination to just thinking, yeah, there is something out there. I might not have found it yet, but I will. And when I do, I know I'm going to really relish in it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of World Childless Week, how many years have
This will be the ninth year coming up, which is insane. It's insane.
did you
Yeah.
imagine when you had that idea that it would be this?
I imagined in the very first year when I did it, I literally like the way it all fell into place and happened is because I literally thought, okay, I've said, because well, a day's come and gone. you can't do anything in a day. By the time you might have got one person to notice it, the day's over and it's too late, which
Yeah.
is why I said it has to be a week. So it was all these things that just literally like, yeah, it has to be that.
Yeah.
And then I thought, what the heck am I going to do with 7 days? Now I've decided it's going to do 7 days. What the heck? And I thought, okay, a different subject every day. It made sense because it's breaking it down into like compartments that I could sort of cope with and deal with. And I thought, okay, so what the heck am I going to do? And came up with things. And I thought, I know what, if I'd got these topics each day, I could just go online and look for other people that have written things and then just do links to these articles. And
Yeah.
that'll, it's not very major. It's only going to be a few links, but it'll be something. And then I can try and write something. So if you pick topics I think relevant, or I can scribble a few notes down hopefully. And I expected that would pretty much be it. I really didn't think, do you know what I mean? It was like, what can I do? But at the time, I was already admin a couple of groups or 3 groups on Facebook. And I just thought, I wonder if anybody would be interested. But because it's all that area of being so raw and being scared and not wanting to talk about it and not being seen and
Yeah.
all this, I thought, I don't know. But I asked, and people went, yeah, hell yeah, I'd like to share my story. I'd like to talk about this. I'd like to do that. And I was like, okay. And straight away, the first thing, because priority, because I know it's like, was like, you can be anonymous. You don't have to have your name on anything, because then you
Yeah,
can
no,
say,
I read
like,
the post
yeah,
and
there's
anonymous
no
and
comeback on you then. You can say what you like. You can have a rant. I don't care what language you use. Do you know what I mean? You can just get it
yeah.
out there, and I shall just pop it on a Facebook page because that's free. It was easy. And with the people that came back and like the posters I made and other bits and bobs, there was over 100 articles in that first week. And I didn't have to write them all, thank God. Do you know what I mean? And it was literally like, so it was like, I knew it was needed because we weren't seen anywhere else. But at the same time, I don't think, again, because you think you're alone, I felt it was needed, but I don't think I knew how much other people thought the same as me, that they also needed it.
Yeah.
But it proves that it was needed because people were just willing to write something, and then automatically it was like, well, what are you doing next year? Do you know what I mean? That was the next step.
Next
Oh
year?
my God,
What?
what have I done? What have I done? Help. Do you know what I mean? And it literally just progressed from there. And as sad and as hard and as dark as some of it is to read, it's beautiful and I love it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It gives me so much fulfillment
Yeah.
from doing it that, I'm grateful to people, no matter how much they write or how much they sing, how much they draw, whatever it is they do. I'm so incredibly grateful because they're the ones who make it. And again, because I'm going through my grief and at more of an acceptance stage, I can't write about what it's like to be in the dark places. And
Yeah.
those stories, I think, in a way, are the most important because that's the most vulnerable we are. And that's what we need to relate to.
Yeah.
So I just, it amazes me it's still going, but at the same time, it doesn't, because unfortunately, as we said, we don't want anyone to join our community, but we know that thousands are every day.
Yeah. And I think that we are escalating rapidly. More and
Mm,
more people are finding themselves childless. So yeah.
yeah, which is incredibly sad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for reasons I won't even talk about, but yeah, in certain countries and things, but it's getting horrendous out there, and the attitude, even though we're getting stronger at speaking out, we still don't get our side of the story often heard. It's often the child free that get heard above us
Yeah.
because they're more confident to speak out about things. And the assumption is childless, often they just assume childless means you didn't want children. It's like, that's not always the case. There's lots of different little pockets of where we all sit from between childless to child free and in the middle. And yeah.
Yeah. We went through fertility treatments and we didn't get the child because there's a lot of childless after infertility. And
Mm.
my story, and I read yours, are not exactly like that. I went to 3 IUI, but I separated and I ended up being childless because I'm single, not exactly because I did 7 years of fertility treatments.
Yeah.
So there are so many paths that can lead to childlessness. And a lot of that paths are completely ignored.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I say, like, yes, in the end, it was the fact that, infertility came into play for both me and my partner, and fertility treatments. I was literally a few months before my 40th birthday,
Yeah.
and it was like, okay. And I'm glad on reflection that we didn't try it. Now I know the statistics would have been so ridiculously poor for me to fall pregnant anyway. But before that, in my 20s, and I was in an abusive relationship for 4 or 5 years.
So did I.
So I went on the pill because I didn't want to fall pregnant with him.
Yeah.
I didn't want to bring a child into that relationship. So somebody would say, "Oh, so you were childless by choice then?" It was like, well, yeah, but I'm not childless by choice. Do you know what I mean? It was the circumstances that made me go on the pill to prevent a pregnancy. So it's circumstantial and infertility related issues. And then most people assume, like you say, when it's infertility or fertility, I always think the two words never quite merge. Do you know what I mean? Fertility, infertility, whatever you want to use. But most people assume that you would go on to try some kind of IVF or some kind of
Yeah.
process. It's like the shock when they're like, you didn't try. No.
Yeah.
Oh, why not? And it's like, because it's not what's right for everybody, and it's not affordable for everybody, and it's not accessible for everybody. But it's not just about fertility issues, it's about so much more. So much more.
Yeah. In my 20s, I was in two abusive relationships, and maybe some people think that was my choice, but it was also what I've learned. I was so
Mm.
badly treated during my childhood that I thought that was the standard, that was love. But I unconsciously didn't want to bring a child to that. And then when I did the three IUIs, I was in my 30s, and I couldn't keep doing that. My mental health was, I have anxiety, I have agoraphobia, so the hormones, the poking, it was too much for me. So yeah, I didn't do more IVF or more complex things. And it led me to childlessness either way. And I don't think that was a choice. Like you said, it was circumstances.
Mm. Yeah, it is. And like you say, the circumstances are fast. And then they'll say somebody who'll be like, oh, you chose not to have a child. And it's like, I chose not to because my medication keeps me alive. And if I
Yeah,
stop my medication, I will die.
yeah,
So even if I fall pregnant, I probably won't carry full term because I will die and my child will die. Or, you know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like hereditary conditions, physical disabilities or something. It's like some will say, I chose not to because I personally felt I wouldn't be able to bring a child up in the way I wanted because of my disabilities.
yeah,
But somebody with the same disabilities might go, no, I want to have a child, I'm going to have a child and I will bring them up. And it doesn't matter. We're all so unique in what we go through to be able to make the choice.
yeah,
Sometimes the hardest choice in your life is the one to not try to have a child. Despite,
yeah,
I mean, it's telling you one thing and your heart is screaming with a different answer, but it's all circumstantial that we end up in and people don't see it. And that's why I love it when people will share their stories, that share the things, because I'm constantly learning and still hearing about reasons why people are childless.
yeah.
There's just so many reasons out there.
I
Yeah.
Something similar to what happened to you with World Childless Week, without comparing, because World Childless Week has another level for me. But when I started this podcast, I told my story, and I thought to myself, I want to tell more stories because I don't know everything, and there must be someone else that wants to talk about this. And I posted in several groups for looking for guests, and I received over 100 replies. Not everyone wanted to be in the podcast, but they wanted to connect. To they wanted to be heard. And I've learned so much and so many reasons why people are childless. And it blew my mind. And it still blows my mind because I still get like comments of I want to be in your podcast, and I think we are reaching a point where we are ready to talk more and be heard more, and I have to say this is the most loving community I can ever imagine.
The
And
love is amazing. And like you say,
yeah,
it's I think because as each year goes by, literally each year you see more people talking out, and it
yeah,
gives confidence to other people to talk out. And I think it's a beautiful thing. The more platforms there are in different ways, like some people write, some people sing, some people talk on a podcast,
yeah,
whatever it is, if you can get your story out there, it also becomes very empowering to be able to share your story.
absolutely. Yeah.
You gain strength from it, and the more you tell it, the more you can say more about it, the in-depth things about it. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah, and it hurts a little
I've
more
yeah,
less,
yeah.
telling
I
it.
still remember the first time doing a public post, and I was like, oh, on my actual own Facebook page. It was the scariest thing, but at the same time afterwards, I was like, oh, I just did that. I
Yeah,
actually put it out there and declared it. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah,
it does get you stronger. But again, the other thing I'd say, and I see this through World Childless Week, is some people will do a submission and they'll go, I need to be anonymous. And the next year they'll come back and go, you know what? I'd like to put the first name on this. And the
yeah,
next year, you know what? I'm really confident. I want my full name on this. And then they'll come back the next year. And because the subject matter changed and they go, I really want to write about this, but it's personal. But I put my name on it, but I really don't want my name on it again this year. It's like you can do what you like.
yeah,
Go back to being anonymous. And I think that's really important. Even with the podcast, like you say, you share what you're confident to share that moment in time, but there might be a different story, part of your story that you don't want to talk about yet, or you'll never be able to talk about, and that's completely fine too.
yeah. I offer some people to read. Like I still haven't get any submission, but I can read pieces that are anonymous because I know that nobody, not everybody wants to be in front of the camera.
Yeah,
I get it. So I try to facilitate a place where we can get a representation,
yeah,
and just not just me.
yeah.
Because
No, no, it's going to be loads of us. And do you know what I mean? Like say, there's more podcasts than there everywhere, which is everywhere, which is brilliant. Me
yeah,
personally, I very rarely listen to them. It sounds terrible when I'm coming on a podcast. I rarely listen, but because it's not my thing. Do you know what I mean? But there are other people who want podcasts and can't be bothered to read anything on World Childless Week because it's
yeah,
like, don't do reading. I want to listen. And again, just seeing how much it's all growing in different ways
yes,
is fantastic, and being able to offer people different options.
yes. I
It's what we
think
need.
we need more representation in every area. Reading, singing, like you said, uh, podcast, because if I can spare the 3 or 4 years that I felt like I was the shittiest person in the planet because someone has representation easier than I found it, it
Mm.
would be so great. Because I didn't found World Childless Week before because I didn't know about the word childless. So until I found it, I felt like I was alone. So if we kind of get that word more and more in more supports or platforms, it became easier for us to be found.
Mm. It's the hardest thing though.
Yeah,
Being found is the hardest thing because like people go, oh, well, Childless Week, you must be growing massive. And it's like, well, it's growing,
yeah,
but it's not massive. It's really like nothing compared to somebody who goes on Instagram, takes the shirt off, dances around a bit, and all the women go, excuse me, oh, I like that, and they like him, and they get more likes in an hour than I might get in a year.
yeah,
Because, like you say, we don't know because being childless isn't something that we're taught. It's talked about. We're not shown it in school. We're told to be careful to not fall pregnant and what we can do to prevent that. We're not told what to do if it doesn't happen and we want it, or where there's support, because people don't know the support. Doctors and hospitals, they don't know the support out there, and getting the word out to them is what we need to do. And that's just like you say, it needs to start in schools. It
yeah,
needs, children need to know They will grow up and they will be childless, child free, or a parent. And
Yeah.
they might not end up in the category they want to be in, or they might be and they might get what they want, and that's great. But it needs to be normalized and it needs to be talked about, because until it's talked about, it's still going to be really hard for people to find us. And
Yeah.
that is the biggest thing, because again, I always say, like, for World Childless Week, if I was a fertility clinic, I'd get sponsorship money, because it's all about, you've
Yes.
got the audience there trying to have a child. But when it's about, no, 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 it's nothing to do with that. People, well, how can you make money from the childless? Because that's what this world lives on, is money going round.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's where
Yeah.
you get advertised. It's something that you want to promote, and people don't want to promote childlessness. And it's like, you need to, because we're such a we're the biggest unknown minority that is
Yeah.
growing. And it's
Yeah.
just getting the word out there, and it needs to start younger. But until then, I think you, me, and anybody else who can shout about it, do it, because it's all we can do.
Yeah. Of course, I need money because I have to pay my rent, but
Mm.
I started this podcast to be a to help facilitate other stories and other or more visibility because I needed that, and I guess I I think why not?
Yeah. No, but it's like, you know what I mean? But it's just, we're not a marketable thing, are we? Childless.
Yeah.
They don't, people don't want to put money into it, because it's like, no, I don't want to be associated with something that's negative. I
Yeah.
want happy ever after endings. Do you know what I mean? I'll flip over and sponsor a fertility clinic. And like I said, it's not about the money, but it's just getting the word out there that we exist, and there is so much support
Yeah.
and love
I
and
get a
validation.
I get
Yeah.
lots of emails and DMs about like I work in with I don't know this company and your podcast could be about the happiness world and no, no. But you can earn. I don't care. I'm not doing that for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Uh,
completely get that. You can steer the course and make money, or you can do something meaningful. For me, that is my two options with the podcast.
yeah. Oh no,
And
I think anybody within our community,
yeah,
you might make a little bit of money, but you're never going to be rich or fit. Do you know what I mean? It's
yeah,
not what it's about. The people who do stuff for this community
mhm,
do it because they do it with love, because they know the feelings.
yeah,
They understand in their heart what it was like to be on that very first moment of going,
yeah,
I'm not being a parent, and the pain. And
yeah,
that's it. We're just reaching out to say we're here, aren't we? That's what we're doing. And yeah, I just say to people, like, in the support group, spread the word. If you find something you love, spread the word. If you like
yeah,
World Childless, spread the word. If it's you and your podcast, spread the word. Whatever it is, spread the word, because you'll still get people in groups going, oh, I've never heard of that. Didn't know about that. Didn't realize that was there. I'm just in Facebook in my little secure group.
yeah.
Because
That
once you find somewhere, again, you can sort of get comfortable, and it's almost scary to go out there and look again. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, but
that's why I think I created the happy childless mindset, like the name, because I needed to see more childless happiness portrayed, because they were bit really scarce and I couldn't find them. So
mm.
I made the name really obvious.
No, but that's what I did. I think you have to, don't you? And it's like, what is it about? It's about the world, childless, and it's a week long. Okay, I've got my words stuck together. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it is trying to figure out what people will search for. And again,
Yes.
it's hard because it's childless not by choice, childless by circumstances, involuntary childless, aging without children. And it's a minefield of labels. And
Yeah.
it's, if you do want a label, because nobody really wants a lot of these labels, do you know what I mean? You want to chuck them away.
Yeah.
But you try and find all the different ways people describe themselves, so that they will find you at the end
Yeah.
of it. Yeah. Again,
And
it's like,
it's not even they found me, it's they found the community they are looking. And the same thing because World Childless Week happens to you, I think. It's not about you person, it's about the community you put yourself behind. It's like, yeah, I created this, that this is yours to grow.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like in the first couple of years when we are doing the webinars and things, I'd be on every one introducing. I thought, why am I actually in these webinars? Because I'm not like, and you know what I mean, in the same topic discussion, I don't know it inside out as they do.
Yeah,
Or, you know what I mean? People don't want to see my face pop up all the time. Like, what the heck am I doing? And it's like, I let other people lead. So I started saying, does anybody else want to lead? And they were saying, yeah. And I was like, good. Or people would come and go, I'd like to talk about this. And I'm great, great. So you can lead it. And they go, whoa, I didn't say I was going to lead it. I'm like, trust me, you will be good. If it's something that interests you, if it pulls on your heartstrings or makes you annoyed and you've got
yeah,
something to say about it, you can lead a webinar. It's
yeah,
easy to do because, again, like I said, our community are there to support you, to love what you're doing. They're not going to be there and they're not going to slate you off and they're not going to be like idiots giving questions that you know you can't answer. So just know what you're doing is beneficial to others and you'll do it. And yeah, and
yeah. And
that's how it is.
even
Yeah,
if they ask you a question that you don't know, they are not asking you with malice. At least I haven't seen that in the childless community. It's because
no.
that's a question they have themselves and they are asking because someone might know.
Yeah, it's genuine curiosity and just thinking, I don't know what the answer is. Do you know it?
Yeah,
And if you're just honest and go, actually, I don't, they go, that's fair enough. Nobody's going to mind if you don't have the answer.
exactly. Yeah,
Or it might
that's
be something that opens up a whole new avenue of discussion that's really interesting. So, yeah,
yeah, that's one of the reasons I said it's the kindness community. I've asked so many stupid questions and they told me like I did this or I have no idea how to. But I always get the validation of, yeah, you have a
yeah,
question.
yeah. And I say, no question is a stupid question because
Yeah,
otherwise it
that's
wouldn't be a
why I
question in the
quoted
first
it.
place. Is it? Yeah, but it isn't, is it? It's like somebody you'll ask and somebody will answer, and you go, oh my God, yeah, I never thought about it like that. Of
Yeah,
course, that makes sense now. You know what I mean? You can have one of the home mums go, do and whatever. And it's like, who cares? It's like, whatever you are, is you being unique. And as long as you're being honest, not being unique, but you're being open and just being honest of who you are,
yeah,
then no one's going to judge you for that. It's like, I've cried so many times on videos and webinars. And at first it's like, oh my God, I'm crying again. And I'm now just like, yep, I'm crying again, get used to it. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, it's going to happen. Can't stop it, whatever. It's part of me.
yeah,
And it's because I get emotional because of people who are raw and still got that grief. And I can relate to that rather than me and my story. Do you know what I mean? But if it comes out, it comes out.
yeah,
And I don't, it's just, well, whatever. So like last year I was doing little tiny reels and I was in crying in quite a few of them. And it's like, oh my God, that webinar was so. And it's like, well, if that's how strong that webinar was for me, then I want to let other people know they could also benefit from it.
yeah.
But it's weird, but if as long as you're honest and you're transparent in what you are, who
Kind
you
of.
are, and what you do,
I
it's
don't
good.
edit too much my podcast. I put
Yeah.
but it's because, yeah, I make mistake a lot. I make a lot of mistakes. I mispronounce things and change the tense but I am doing it so you can too, you know,
Mm. Yeah.
because I'm not
I like
better
that.
than anyone. Yeah, you, Stephanie, Joy, Philip know that, but maybe someone that just found out that it is childless doesn't. And I
Mm.
want to like inspire them or let them know it's okay, you can mess up. You can make as many mistakes as you need to make.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Well, I've stumbled. See, I'm doing it now. I get my words mixed up or use the wrong words, and it's just like my range of vocabulary. We talked about this before we started talking.
yeah,
My range of vocabulary might not be the best,
yeah,
but it's if it explains what I'm trying to say, then it's done okay. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not going to worry about it because I don't judge anyone else. So I just hope they don't judge me, and if they do, that's their problem, not mine.
yeah. But I love that about you because I have guests that are more known than others. You are known, and they like edit that part. I would, and I don't. it's not my style. I want to, because I don't feel good either if I'm editing everything. I'm not perfect and I'm trying to show that, you know?
And the thing is, if you're edited by someone, they could take out the bits that you actually feel are important that show your personality.
No, I'm a one woman show. I
Do you know
do
what I mean?
the
No, no,
edit.
I like that. I like that. But I know there's been times I've been on stuff and they edit and I think, I'm sure I mentioned this when we were talking. Why have they not put that in? Or like, I wouldn't
Yeah,
have used this, I'd have used that. And it's like, okay, that's their choice, it's their show. But as you say, what one person judges as being the most important fact isn't what somebody else who's listening necessarily thinks is,
yeah.
because we all pick up on different things. So, yeah, no, just stick it out there as it is. It's real life. It's real. You can't get better than that. I like that. I think it's good.
We are reaching an hour and I have to record another episode after this. But is there something you want to share, tell, something that I forgot to touch before
Gosh,
we
I don't know. Like I
finish?
said, like I always say when people say to me, like not with you, but someone will go, here's the questions we're answering on, and are you okay? And then when I answer, I'll just really go, yeah, it's fine. And then I don't think about them because I have to be on the spur in the moment, because if I practice something in advance, then I'm the stuttery person who's trying to get the words properly in line without making a
Yeah,
mistake. So that's why I say I'm happy to go with the flow. And like what we've talked about is no one's alone. We think we are. We all think we're alone,
yeah,
but we're not. We're all grieving, no matter what the world tells us is going on. And we all change daily because of how we feel. And there's nothing right and there's nothing wrong. It's just bloody normal life. That's what it is. It's just us as individuals being us. And you can't change that. So never put yourself down. And yes, there is happiness, I'd say.
I
There
was
is
going to add that
happiness.
one.
There is happiness out there. We don't always see it. We don't always know it's coming, but sometimes one thing I've noticed is you can look back at a year and think, actually, I did this and I'd have never done that the year before. And I'm
Yeah,
really happy that I did that, or I made this thing, or I achieved something I couldn't do before.
yeah.
So yeah, it's celebrate the little rewards, the little sparks, and then hopefully they'll mount up to a big bundle of happiness going forward.
Lovely. Thank you so much for being my guest. I really appreciate it. And maybe we can do another one after this year, this World Childless Week to
Yeah,
2025. So you can tell me how it went.
yeah, I'd love to. No, it's been great chatting to you. As I said, it's really nice to just have a conversation with a friend,
Yeah.
relax and chat, and happy to do it again anytime it suits you, Laura. Thank you.
Thank you.